This video is brought to you by Legacy Audio, relentlessly pursuing audio perfection for over 2 decades. Hey, I'm Andrew Dash with Audioholics. There are a lot of cases when you want a good source for audio, but you can't fit a full-fledged AV receiver into a space. Maybe it's a dorm room or an office, or you don't like the idea of using up your laptop. Maybe you don't relish the thought of dealing with the limited stereo separation afforded by most desktop speakers. So what do you do with all that? Well, the new Marantz M-CR610 wireless network CD receiver offers a unique solution. This product has a small form factor, but a rather long name. And that's because it does just about everything. It streams music from the internet, including Spotify and Pandora. It can stream DLNA content from your local networked PCs. It does Sirius XM. It can obviously play CDs, how quaint. And it has AirPlay for your iOS devices, plus a front USB connection for a hardwired USB thumb drive or other MP3 player. It's a pretty well-rounded system with one notable exception: no Bluetooth audio, which will make it a bit more difficult for non-iOS users to stream music without an additional device. Of course, it doesn't come with speakers, but that's actually kind of awesome because it lets you pick your own. I could imagine pairing this with a set of Polk TL2s or maybe some JBL Control 1s. Whatever you pair it with, the M-CR610 has 50 watts of power per channel. Of course, that's rated into 6 ohms at 1 kilohertz, so figure around 30 watts into 8 ohms with 2 channels driven at 20 to 20. The enclosure of the M-CR610 is a modern piano gloss plastic shell that features nicely rounded corners and a reduced form factor. It sits just over 11 inches wide and just under a foot deep and looks like kind of a large squarish desktop radio. The front panel has a beautiful multi-line OLED display that you can read from across the room, and actually that's kind of why I like it as an office radio. You also don't need to use the remote to enter your account passwords for online streaming services like Pandora or Spotify, because you can use the Marantz remote app from your phone and do it there. Connections are simple too. There are 4 pairs of 5-way binding posts on the back of the 610 in case you want to run A and B speakers. It may also consider tossing a subwoofer into the mix. The CD receiver does give you a sub out with a response setting, so you can adjust the output to be full range or add in a 12 dB octave crossover slope beginning at either 60 Hz or 100 Hz. On top of that, you can also bump the area around 400 Hz by 3 dB. It's a great system for accommodating small satellites or more traditional bookshelf speakers. Listening on this CD receiver was fun. I switched between Spotify, CDs, internet radio stations, and lossless files I brought in via USB. The speakers I used were a pair of RBH Sound 61 SER bookshelf speakers. These likely were overkill, but I don't want the speakers to be an impediment to judging sound quality. The first track I queued up was Losing My Religion from a CD remaster of R.E.M's Out of Time album. I've always liked the mandolin on this song, and Michael Stipe has a great vocal track that has enough characteristics to listen to when doing these sort of tests. The difference was obvious in sibilances and even the overarching sustains of the keyboard pads. Next up was Junior B from Yellow's The Eye, which is a CD I was introduced to years ago by Tom Andry of AV Ranch and Audioholics fame. There's a ton of really profound bass and stereo separation in this track, as well as a female vocal lead that has a ton of texture. I heard excellent separation and a well-defined soundstage. Everything was in its place, and the doubled stereo vocals were nice and wide, as I'd expect. I next listened to the rest of that album. But then after that, I played a bunch of lossless files from a connected USB thumb drive. Among these was Do It Again by Steely Dan's Definitive Collection album. Percussion was awesome in this track, and Donald Fagen's syncopated vocal line came across as very transparent and live. The unusual electric sitar and organ solos also really had all the texture and power I remembered when going back and listening to this track on other systems. The $700 Marantz M-CR610 is a great little CD receiver that's going to give you the sound of a real stereo system with a much smaller footprint. I'm going to give this product 2 thumbs up. I give it 3, but it's 4 o'clock. I will, however, pose this question. How much would you consider paying for an office or dorm-destined stereo system, including speakers? Let us know below in the comments section, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can bring you more great videos. And like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Audioholics, to see what we're up to next.